So I think 50 euros is about the equivalent of about 70 Australian dollars
Yeah.
per week.
So week, yeah, that's
But
what I'm
then
saying.
Week.
It's like.
But you had fun.
It was the best time. It was the
That's
best. We met. We had a 2-year long distance relationship.
Wow.
And then he
Yes.
said, "Why don't you move to Australia?" And I went, "Okay." Moved to Australia, and
Wow.
he broke my heart.
Lows in that time that you felt like you wanted to give up or very happy. I can tell from your expression. That's the best expression I've got so far.
What am I doing?
Hello and welcome to Arum Talks, where we talk about mindset, business,
And
and
stories. Because we
Yes.
believe everybody has a story and we need to share that. So
Absolutely.
Who do we have today with us, Anna?
we have Laura today.
Hi,
And
guys.
hello, Laura. Tell us about your business, a little about yourself.
First of all, thank you for coming, Laura.
Yes.
Anna is all hyped up. Because she wants to get into
Amazing.
that.
Amazing. No, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you guys and to share some
Amazing.
info with your audience.
Yes,
you very
thank
much.
you. I'm just keen to know Laura's story because we started discussing it and he just stopped us there and he goes like, no, not right now.
Because I wanted to have the real genuine reactions of Pramana. If you already know, then you know. You know what I mean?
Fine, whatever.
There you go.
Tell us, Laura.
Well, I have a business now called Go Above and Beyond. It's
Right.
a corporate hamper business.
Oh, wow.
Love the name.
Thank you.
Cool,
Thank
above
Above
and
and
beyond.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
It was a very quick decision and a
Yeah.
very easy decision to call it Go Above and Beyond because I think that just, for me, it runs through anything and everything that I do.
Right.
So that was a very quick and easy decision. We're based in Melbourne, look
Yeah.
after companies throughout Australia,
Yeah.
working a lot with real estate agents, new
Yeah.
car dealerships, and then we work with some really beautiful global brands
Oh, nice.
like Rado Switzerland. We work with Chanel, Tag Heuer,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
just to name a few. Disney
Yeah.
as well, just to name a few.
Do you get
yeah.
some discounts with Chanel? Just girls being girls.
We'll chat about that later.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's definitely been a journey. I started just as a one-man band. I started off my kitchen bench.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, started just off my kitchen bench, was there for a reasonable time, and now we've got a warehouse, 250 square meter warehouse,
Wow.
a full team. So yeah, it's been a journey.
been a good ride, eh?
It's been a journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you start?
I started the business in about April 2016, but I only moved to Australia in November of 2015.
Oh.
So within a few months, about, what's that, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, yeah.
I had identified the opportunity, decided that that's what I wanted to do, and then gone about starting
What
it.
was that decision factor? You're like, look, I think that's where the gap is,
Yeah.
and I'm going to start that. I'm going to start corporate gift hampers.
Yeah, so I had moved from New Zealand to Australia, and I had my own business when I was over in when I was over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to have another business. I sold the business that I had when I was in New Zealand. That was in fashion. I sold that when I moved here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted another business, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be.
Right.
And I didn't want to do the same thing. I wanted something new, something different. And when I first moved to Australia, I knew one person and one person only. That was the only person that I knew in
We
the
can
entire
relate.
country.
Yeah. I knew zero. So yeah, you were good.
I knew one.
I knew the
one
only
person.
person I came to Australia with, my childhood friend.
Oh.
And I came with him. So that was the only person that I knew. And I knew one more person. Yeah, and I just knew one person.
Yeah.
Who was over here for 3 years. So like, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. So you picked his brains on everything and went, tell me what you
Yes,
know.
that's
Tell
what
me
we
I need
do,
to know."
right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
totally.
like,
Yeah.
but like even he wasn't in the corporate world of working. He was a student as well because he came a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So he figured out a little bit things better. I mean, and he told me like how to
Buy a train pass.
how to go in public transport. What do you need? How to open a bank? Just the basic stuff.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I had to figure everything
Have
out.
to figure
myself.
everything out. Yeah. Is he still here? Are you guys still in touch?
Yeah,
and in contact?
100%. He's
Oh,
still
that's so
here.
nice.
He
Oh,
actually
that's
lives
so cool.
5 minutes away from us.
How
So
cool is that?
yes.
Yeah, he's still a good
Aw.
mate to me. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're saying. That when you just don't know anybody, you're starting new.
But Laura, what made you shift from New Zealand to Australia?
I fell in love with an Australian man when he was over in New Zealand. He was on holiday there.
Mm-hmm.
And we met. We had a 2-year long distance relationship.
Wow.
And then he said, "Why don't you move to Australia?" And I went, "Okay."
Wow, that was
I
impulsive.
went, "Okay, sure." So I did. I sold up everything, moved to Australia, and
Wow.
we had another about 4 years here. And then he broke my heart. He broke my heart. Yeah, it was. That was
A hit.
That was a testing time.
Yeah.
That was a very
Yeah.
testing
Yeah,
time. But yeah,
100%.
yeah.
You moved for someone, and then yes, I'm sure. While you were going through all of this, your business was also, of course, it was a new country for you.
The business was new at that time as well.
The
Yes.
business was new. Yeah. So what happened was when I moved here to Australia originally, I'd sold my business in New Zealand. I knew I wanted another business when I moved here. I just wasn't sure what it was going to be.
Yeah.
So only knowing one person,
Yeah.
first on the list was, okay, well, I need to get some friends. That
Yeah.
would be nice to make some
Yeah,
friends.
fair enough.
And I don't have children, so it wasn't like I was going to meet, fellow mums on on the school run, etc., etc. So I just thought, I'll just get a job. Like that'll be fine, and I'll meet some new people, and maybe some inspo will come to me. So I started off at selling cars at a Mazda dealership, selling new cars. I'd never sold cars in my life. I didn't know one end of a car really from another. So I went into this sales role at a Mazda dealership and really enjoyed it. And it was there in-house that every time someone picked up a new car or even a used car, they would give them a gift.
A hamper,
And it was done in-house, and the poor guys tried their best, but it was an afterthought. It wasn't executed very well. Things would run out, and as selling new cars, when someone comes to pick up their new car, you have to get so many bits of paperwork and everything all organized. And the last thing you wanted to do was go around and start preparing this gift and making sure everything happened. So I looked at that and went, I think I can do something with this. I think I can do something here. So I approached the new car sales manager and I said, hey, can we chat about the gifts? What if I was to use your existing budget, the budget that you have, rework it so that it is an elevated gift. It's much nicer than what you're doing at the moment, but deliver it already done. So literally the team need to just go and grab it and off they go and it's done. Yeah, exactly. And I said, is that something that you go for? And he went, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. But using the same budget, Laura. I said, absolutely using the same budget. So that's what I did. And I'm so excited to say that they are still a client today.
Oh, wow.
8 years on. Yeah, they're still a client today. And the business has literally just grown from there. So I started off with automotive, within automotive, and then branched out into real estate. And then from there, it's gone to a much wider audience as well. So we cater to a lot of different industries.
So when this business was made, of course, I mean, there was an opportunity, you grabbed it. Were there any lows in that time that you felt like you wanted to give up or very happy? I can tell from your expression. That's the best expression I've got so far.
What am I doing?
or like, what have I done? Why was I not just doing the job? Why can't I just go back to New Zealand to my old business? Tell me what was that mindset?
It was, so what happened was everything was, I was running the business from home. When I first started the business, I was running it from home. And my lifestyle was such that the business could at the beginning be a bit of a hobby-esque kind of style thing. My partner at the time, he was a very successful businessman, still is a very successful businessman, and our lifestyle was such that we were going traveling. He had events that we needed to go to, and so just to concentrate on growing the business everything was kind of all over the show. So it was very much kind of, you know what, this is a nice little thing to have. It's giving me some income. It's giving me some focus. I can work on it. But it wasn't that I needed it to put food on the table or to pay bills or things like that. When the relationship broke up, it was a moment of going, oh, okay. Now I need to do something. So to put this in context, this happened in February 2019. And so it was literally like, I am now here by myself in Australia. My entire family is over in the UK. I don't have anybody else, like no one else here. On this side of the world or anywhere else. They are all in the UK. So it was a moment of, okay, well, I either need to make this business work or I need to move back home. Or I say home, I need to move back to the UK and go and, I don't know, live with my mom or something.
And how many times did you decide, okay, today's the day I want to pack up?
I'm packing up now. I'm done.
Do you know, those days didn't come. I just went, I usually have a plan A, B, C, D, E. That was like plan X. Like that was plan. That was going to be the very last thing that I wanted to do. So it took, do you know what though? It took me a fair while. I don't laugh and joke about it. The relationship breakup hit me massively. Like it actually took me a year to get out of bed. Like I was next level devastated. Next level, like my whole world just blew up and collapsed right then and there. So look, it took me about a year. I got a coach, I got a mentor, which was really important. And kind of it just made it work. And then, but by about the November, it was in the November that I got a coach and mentor. So February to November was really, I was in survival mode. Like I was literally just trying to look after myself and making sure that I could get through the day without bursting into tears and just making it.
And you were alone at that time.
100% alone.
Obviously, you didn't know anybody, nobody to support.
Do you know what? That's actually not true.
Okay.
I don't have any family here, but I have the most incredible, supportive friends that I could possibly ever ask for, and I just wouldn't have made it through without them. I don't want to overstate it, but I literally owe my life to them. Like I went through some really, really, really dark days and really dark times. And if it hadn't been for the support and the love of my friends, I would not have made it through. And these are just people that I had met, I'd known them for,
You're lucky to find someone like that,
100%.
Finding friends, I feel like after your uni days or especially college days, finding real friends becomes such a big task because like it's over.
It's very difficult.
I mean, you're changing, those people are changing, your environment's changing, and once you become a business owner, you kind of don't want to, but you have to walk that path alone because nobody can understand your struggles, your time frames, and your commitments. Everyone thinks like, you're just bluffing, you're too busy.
You're a changed person.
You're a changed person now.
You're a changed person. You never used to be like that. You used to hang around. Like,
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. And then as she said, finding good friends nowadays is so hard.
It's hard.
So you're lucky you had those people.
Oh my gosh. I'm not even kidding. I do gratitude every single morning and I give massive thanks to my friends who have really been there and really supported me through some really, really tough times. So look, that was really tough, just going through that stage and getting my confidence back to be able to go and to grow the business, to go and do some sales calls, to put yourself, to put myself out there. That was pretty challenging. But the other option was to shut everything down and go somewhere else. And so that wasn't the option. So it was like, oh, okay, well, we'll just do this then. We'll just do this one then.
And that was the time when you said you got a mentor, coach as well to help you in the business?
Yes, that's right. Well, they do. The program that I was in helps in business and in life as well. It was kind of all encompassing. So, and in fact, I have more than one. I still have more than one coach. So I have a mindset coach, and then I have a business coach as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I started that program in about November 2019. And I thought, okay, right now we're going to get up and running. So Christmas came. Christmas is a busy time for me. So I'm busy throughout the year, but Christmas is a really, really important time. Yeah, definitely. So I got through Christmas and that Christmas was great. And then of course 2020 comes. And we all know what happened in 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. So at the beginning, it was crazy. At the beginning of 2020, I had booked a trip to go back to the UK to go and visit my family. I was one of my passions outside of work is skiing. So skiing. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I booked a ski trip with one of my friends to Italy.
Oh wow!
Which was fabulous. It was in the Dolomite area of Italy, and it was absolutely fabulous. So we land there at the beginning of March, and I don't know if you guys can recall, but the first outbreak outside of China, one of the first outbreaks out of China, was in Italy.
No, it was in Italy.
Was in Italy.
Yes,
it was. No,
that's why when you said Italy in March, I was like.
I know, and I was so flippant. I said, they started to close these 10 little villages in northern Italy, exactly where I was at the time, and I was so flippant. I went, oh well, there's worse places to be stuck for a week or two than in northern Italy. Hey, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. So anyway, we were in northern Italy skiing in the mountains as COVID was kind of having this outbreak, and I honestly didn't.
Nobody knew this was.
I didn't think it was
right.
I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was.
Yeah, nobody thought that.
I know, right? I know. I was lucky. We had a week skiing. It was fabulous. I had the best time. It was brilliant. Came out, got to the UK. Literally had 2 or 3 days in the UK, and then flew to Australia, back home to Australia. And got in really just as everything was kicking off, excuse me, over here.
Yeah.
Then kind of towards the end of the month, at the end of March, all of our lockdowns started. End of March, yeah. And I went, okay, all right, what's the upside here? My upside is with my business model, just catering to corporates, I didn't have a lot of overhead stock. I really was kind of buying things in and getting things in, creating the hampers and gifts. They were all pretty much on order, and we were doing the same things at that time for our clients. And so I wasn't holding a lot of overheads, and I didn't have a lot of stock, and I was running it out of home. So I went, you know what? It's okay. Like it's okay. It's all right. And so I thought, okay, well, at this time, the business was about, 3 or 4 years old. I didn't have a website. I didn't have social media. It would literally had just grown from word of mouth, referral, door knocking, that kind of stuff. So I went, okay, my COVID project is going to be my website and my socials, et cetera, et cetera. So I got to work on that. Then at the beginning of April that year, tragically, no, it wasn't beginning, sorry, it was end of April. Tragically, my father got diagnosed with terminal cancer.
So sorry.
He got diagnosed with terminal cancer and given weeks, not months, to live. So obviously my world was again thrown upside down. And, you know, and I spent about 24 hours going, okay, what, you know, how do I make this work? How, you know, what do I do? And I always, it's a strategy now that I always use. And I've used it before, but it was really poignant at this moment. It was like, okay, what is my best, like, what's my plan A? What would be the best outcome to this? And then how do I reverse engineer that? So my best outcome was, I still want to retain the business. Yeah. I still want to be able to come back to Australia. I still want to have my home. Because at this moment in time, I'm thinking, do I give up my lease? Do I shut the business? Like what do I do? Do I go or do I stay? Yeah. And my plan A.
You start contemplating yourself.
Absolutely. But my plan A was, no, I want to keep the business. I want to be able to go and see Dad and be with him. I want to keep my business. I want to keep my home. I want to keep everything that I have, put everything here on pause, but keep running things and go back. And at this time, it was only me in the business. It was only me. So I spent some time, like literally 4 days. Within 4 days, I'd reversed engineer that whole plan. I had a house sitter come in to look after my house and my dogs. I had someone to caretake the business for me. I had applied for permission to leave the country because at that time the borders were closing. And luckily, I have to say, it was at the beginning of COVID, it was at the beginning of all of these lockdowns rather than halfway through at the end, because a lot of people didn't get the opportunity to go back. Oh my gosh. People were stuck.
But I'm just amazed. How did you go and come back? Were you allowed to come back immediately?
So I applied for the permission to leave. It got I'm the luckiest person. It got granted within like 24 hours. Like overnight it got granted. And so this is almost like in week 1 of everything being shut down. Like I was so lucky that I was able to get out and go. At that point, I think a lot of the repatriation flights had ended, but I managed to get out with Qatar. They still flew all the time. It was one of the eeriest things ever. So from people who travel internationally, right? Yeah. Traveling internationally through big gateway airports, and literally you could have heard a pin drop. It was so freaky. It was crazy.
Every place was like a ghost town.
It was insane.
Airports were empty. We actually, so we weren't married at that time. We didn't know each other at that time. But we were both back home. Okay. Separately. Okay. So we came back, I came back like literally 2nd or 3rd week of March. So it was like, I came back, I didn't know. I mean, at that time, COVID was coming up. People were like, look, there's, I was like, right. And there were some cases coming up in Australia as well when I was going back home for holidays. Okay. So I was telling my parents, my family, friends, I was like, look, you know, there's some cases in Australia. Thank God I'm here. I was joking around. I didn't know it's going to be that big.
Of course. Nobody knew.
I was like, there are cases over there. Thank God I'm here. I'll be safe now. So when I went back, then I started hearing things are closing down. I was like, what things are closing down?
To that, my mom replied, wouldn't it be better if you stayed here because there are cases there? Let everything close down there. And I'm like,
I was like, look, everything closed down. That means no work, nothing at all. I'll stay here for a while. Just call my mates over there and tell them to just get my house away. And I'll just stay here. Because I was working in real estate at that time as well. So I was like, because I had a few realtor friends, like, I might just sell real estate over here and selling there. And I'll still stay with my family and stuff like that. But I had to go. So I came back March 3rd week, and then 4th week, everything got shut down.
Yeah.
So my friends got stuck. Some of my mates got stuck in Pakistan. They came back after 2 years? 1.5 2 years.
Wow. Yeah.
They couldn't come. One of my mates just came a day before lockdown. He was on holiday in Dubai. No. So it was like, everything's closing down, and we were like, nah, we're just gonna enjoy. But at the end, they were like, look, you need to go.
Yeah. The day I came back, after 2 days, there was a lockdown here.
Yeah.
Really?
2 days.
But you're not even over jet lag then. You don't even know really kind of what's going on.
And once they say lockdown, I'm like, what does that mean? 2 days, okay, fine, whatever.
Look, we haven't seen the world going into a lockdown. Every single country going into. We have never seen that.
It's crazy.
So There's nothing like that.
Crazy.
World closing down? Nah.
It's crazy.
So for how long did you stay in the UK?
So I was in the UK up until mid-July.
Okay, so you were with your dad.
I was, yeah. He oh bless him. He was around for about 5 weeks.
Okay.
And then he just passed away.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And
but you had the time to be with him.
do you know what? Again, my gratitude, I give thanks every day that I was able to be there for that 5 weeks. And you know what? We've just been talking about COVID, but if it hadn't have been for COVID, I might not have gone, okay, I can go, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I probably would have, but it was lucky that things were it was a crazy time here, as in exactly slowed down and a little bit unsure, which kind of made me feel more comfortable and confident about just leaving everything and going.
Every bad thing has a good thing. The bad thing was COVID, the good thing you got your time to go.
100%. So then I came back in mid-July. I had to go into hotel quarantine.
Oh.
Melbourne had I was due to come to Melbourne, and 24 hours before my flight was due to leave, it got cancelled because Melbourne got shut down because of everything that was happening during the hotel COVID situation. Totally. So then I rebooked a couple of days later and went into Sydney. So I did a hotel lockdown in Sydney, which was awful, actually. It was awful.
14 days locked in a room.
The health, the physical and the mental health implications of doing that to somebody is just, it's awful.
It's too
so
much.
Awful. Oh my goodness. But anyway, luckily within that, like my dad was, like coming back to a business thing, my dad was my biggest supporter and my biggest fan.
Really?
Like I have had so many harebrained business ideas and other ideas in my life, and he never faltered in supporting me. He was my biggest fan and biggest supporter. And so when I came back to Australia, my absolute pledge to him then, and still is my pledge every single day, Dad, I'm going to make you so proud. And so I came back, I hopped into this hotel quarantine situation. I did not turn the TV on once in 2 weeks. I got to damn work. And I did the website. I did the social media at the hotel during quarantine.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks. No, well, what else am I going to do?
Yeah,
no distraction. I mean, okay, cool. I could have, switched on the TV, but I didn't. No distractions, no nothing, no everything. I just got to work, and I feel like I've just been working ever since. But yeah, it really got me focused. Again, I had my mentors and my coaches with me. And they've been an incredible support throughout the whole time as well.
But I think, Laura, it's just that you need a point in life, a kick in life. And I think that, unfortunately, your dad passing away was a kick in your gut and telling yourself that, okay, you know what, these 2 weeks, I'm going to be someone. In those 2 weeks, I know you were busy making that website and everything. Was there a time when you were really down and wanted to give up, or after those 2 weeks during this business?
I'm sure those 2 weeks won't be the time, because that time you were pumped.
I was pumped. There have been even in the last couple of years, there've been I think often we look at businesses, we look at people who've become successful, and we just see this kind of upward trajectory.
That's it.
And behind the scenes, it never goes like that. It's all kind of up, down, up, down, up, down.
Thank you. Yes.
100%. And we just go, we just see from the outside, but behind the scenes, there's ups and downs, there's ups and downs. Even, let's just say this time last year, I had January and February went really well for the start of the year. And I thought, you know what? This is brilliant, because the year before that, I had to rebuild a few systems. I had to really look at the numbers and kind of work out, okay, this business, I've gone through a scaling process. By that time, I'd moved out of the business, out of home and into the warehouse. I'd started taking on a team. And obviously the overheads went through the roof. I went through the roof.
You're scaling, the overhead go.
Definitely. And I didn't increase any of my prices. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to increase the volume, but there wasn't the margin. Like the margin wasn't there. And it took me much longer than it should have. And it took me to get some people to help me figure out the numbers, to work out that the margin just wasn't there. Like the business wasn't actually sustainable at that point.
Right.
So I re-engineered a whole bunch of stuff. I got through Christmas. We had a great Christmas. So this would have been Christmas 2023, maybe 22. We got through that, and then this is like literally this time last year. I'd rebuilt the whole thing. I'd done a whole lot of stuff. January, February worked out really well.
Yeah.
March, my sales just went, like they just tumbled. Like they went into free fall.
Okay.
And I just went,
What
happened there?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And it was literally, there was a bit of change in kind of the economic environment.
Yeah.
Like I supply corporates, and my biggest markets are still automotive and real estate. So when fewer people are buying cars or buying houses, my sales decrease.
And that time, they were like 50-60% cut in the buyers, cut in business, whether it's automotive, real estate. Both these industries were struggling.
Correct.
And obviously because of that, there were no hampers.
100%.
Yeah.
So even this time last year, I had moments where I sat at my desk with my head in my hands going,
what am I doing?
What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm doing all of this work. I've got all of these bills piling up. I'm not paying myself.
Yeah.
Even like minimum wage at this, like during that time. And there were so many times when I thought, I'm just going to have to wrap this up. I'm going to have to, throw in the towel. I'm going to have to rethink it. And even this Christmas just gone was not my best Christmas at all in the business. And again, it was kind of like, gosh, okay,
at that time,
what do I do?
Just wrap it up and do something else, maybe.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's so many times that I've wanted to give it up.
No, what gets you going?
What gets you going? You're like, I'm still gonna do this.
Oh.
I'm still gonna make it work.
What's that something? Because you mentioned you have mindset coach as well, right? What is their advice to keep you sane, and or something that you go by that
to align yourself up again and keep going?
Yeah. So I do have a mindset coach, but I have done an incredible amount of work on my own mindset over the last over the last 5 years. Ever since that breakup happened, I've been oh my gosh, learning neuro-linguistic programming. I listen to anything about neuroplasticity. I listen to everything about visualizing, manifesting, like you name it. I'm like, give me the hacks, give me the hacks. And I just, you know what? When you give up, you've given up. Like I know we talk about it a lot, and I was listening to Steve's podcast that you guys did the other day, that he mentions just there's always a solution. There's always a solution. So it was every time I put my head in my hands and go, oh gosh, is now the time that I give up? Is now the time that I give up? I just think, how that 3-letter word, how do I make this work? How do I make this work? And sometimes, you have to take a bit of a step backwards to go forward. Most of the time you have to take a step backwards or a side step or do something else and go, okay, I'm going to have a look and see what's not working. What's my end goal? What do I want? So I sit there in those moments where I go, I just want to give up. And then I calm myself. I sit down and go, no, what do I want? What do I actually want? It's like, no, I want a really successful business. I want to make this, I want to make it work. I want to make a really successful business. So I go, okay, how? In which case, how do I make that work?
The magical word, how?
Magical word, how. From a neuroscience perspective, it switches our brain into a solution-orientated mode rather than... So always ask yourself, how, not why. Why will give you excuses, or you try and justify, etc., etc. How is a more solution-orientated word. From a neuroscience perspective. So yeah, just go, how do I make this work? If that's what I want, how do I make that work? And then I reverse engineer that.
I think someone the other day also, we've talked to our guests, and every time we talk to a guest and they come up with there's this few things that we've been seeing, what entrepreneurs and business people are doing, asking how rather than why, and manifesting.
Yes.
Because
and the third thing is everybody has a mentor or a coach.
Everybody has a mentor or a
Everybody who's
coach.
doing good, they have a mentor or a coach.
It's because I think we need to realize that being a business person is a lonely walk, but you need mentors and coaches to support you. And the support system has to be mentors and coaches. I think no matter how grown up we are, we can never stop learning.
Oh my gosh,
100%.
life is constant learning. And I think when you give up learning, that's the time when you stop growing, you struggle. One of my mentors says, when you learn, you earn.
Yeah, that's amazing.
When you learn, you earn. Yeah.
That's good.
And I totally agree with that. Every time, when you're looking at how do I do this, how do I do that, if you have a look and see, okay, who do I need to connect with, what skill set am I short in, who knows how to do that, who can do all of that, where do I learn that from?
But Laura, knowing all of this, like, I can tell you've been into business a lot.
But there's one thing. Sorry, ask your question.
No.
There's one thing that Laura hasn't talked about is she's lived in a lot of countries.
Yes, that's what I was coming to. Exactly my question. Yes.
I was waiting for you to talk about that.
Okay.
So I can tell you've lived around the globe, and you've worked around, you've had your businesses. What got you to shift to so many countries, and what's the inspiration behind always starting a business?
Gosh, I have always moved around countries. I was saying earlier that my parents are British,
right?
So I was born to British parents, but I was born in Austria. So they were living in Austria at the time that I kind of came into the world. And very quickly, within about 18 months, they'd relocated back to the UK. And then I spent about the next kind of 16 years living in the UK. So I left the UK when I was 18.
Right.
There's a couple of different answers here. I think certainly from a business perspective, my grandfather, my mother's father, he was a businessman. He had a successful business in the UK. And I think I was too young to really identify strongly with that at the time, but certainly in hindsight, he's the only person that I really know who
subconscious mind,
who had a business and who did really well, provided a fantastic lifestyle for his family and as such, for us as well as his grandchildren, and then I think through. I'm going to backtrack and switch stories now into how I came to be in different countries. But I've always had a natural knack and interest for languages and for learning languages.
Oh, really?
So I started learning French at the age of 11 and German at the age of 12. My mum also speaks fluent French and fluent German. And I got inspired. I must have been inspired by her, and when I came to learn these languages or take them at school, I found it relatively easy I picked them up relatively easily, and I had a really strong interest in them. So I carried those all the way through school, finished school at the age of 18, and carried those two languages through. Then we mentioned skiing before, which is a big passion of mine. So as soon as I finished school, it was very common in the UK, I think it still is, that after you finish school and before you go to university, you take a year out or a year off.
Right.
It's still very common.
It's still pretty common, right? It's still pretty common to go and travel and to have an overseas experience and go and do different things. So I decided that I wanted to go to Austria and that I wanted to do a ski season over there. So off I went. Within 3 months, I was fluent in. I wasn't actually fluent in German. I was fluent in the Austrian dialect that they spoke in this tiny little village up in the mountains.
That works.
I know, right? You just got to communicate. You just got to be able to communicate.
Language is to communicate. As long as you can communicate,
then you're fine. So I had a fabulous time there. I really enjoyed it. Gosh, it was one of the best times ever. And then I started university, and I ended up doing a business degree.
Okay.
But I did most of it in the German language.
Oh,
yeah. I did most of it in the German language. So I went to a university over in Germany, and just spent the time at uni. And and the other thing is, actually, this is the other thing that I learned at uni. So when I left school, I had below average grades. Like below average. It wasn't that I was, I'd love to say that I was one of these, people who was, really struggled through school and really, no, I didn't. I was just kind of lazy and didn't really apply myself, and
I can definitely relate.
You can relate to that.
I like how honest you are. Usually if people sit in a podcast or something, they're like, oh, I was a first class student. I aced all the classes and I was at the top of everything.
No, 100% not. I'm going to put this into perspective, right? I did 4 A-levels. I got a C, 2 Ds and an E.
and you're owning, you're like, I was lazy. That's it. There's no reason behind it.
When I did my A-levels for the first time, I had all U's.
Oh, did you?
Then I had to reattempt it. And then I had B's, C's, D's. So that's fine.
Yeah. What's your reason? She admitted she was lazy.
That's why I said I can relate. I was lazy and everything.
I was lazy.
O-levels, I was great. A's, B's.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
As soon as I went to A-levels, I was like, college.
Yeah.
Party.
Oh.
U's. Oh my goodness. I was like, what? That was the first time I got U's in
everything.
Whole academic.
Oh my gosh. And so then how did you perform at uni?
It was alright.
You were okay?
Yeah, I mean, not great.
Okay.
Just passing through.
Okay.
Passing through.
Okay.
Jumping and passing through.
Okay.
What about you? How did you?
So I did something completely opposite. So I started uni and I kind of got through the first year. Into the second year, I tried a bit harder. In the third year, I really tried. And then in the fourth year, one of my friends had, in the UK, generally the courses last for 3 years. Mine lasted for 4 years because part of that was a year in business.
Okay.
And we can talk about kind of where I went and stuff and did with that afterwards. But anyway, I came back to start my fourth year, and my friend got a first class honours degree.
Okay.
And she went, Laura, if I can do it, you can do it. And I went, no, you're way smarter than me, blah, blah, blah. I looked at my averages and went, I have to literally get ace this. I have to get somewhere between 80 and 90% in every single paper that I do in my final year, including my thesis and everything.
Yeah.
Even just to be able to scrape through and get a first class honours degree. She was like, if I can do it, you can do it. I went, okay. All right. Okay. So then I went to my uni supervisor and said, hey, I'm gonna go for a first. I'm gonna do this. And he went, Laura. Sounds great. Yeah. I'm just gonna put your expectations in line.
Yeah.
Very nice of you to say that. Good one. But I honestly don't think that that's going to happen.
Aww.
Good on you for trying. Good on you for, wanting to go for it. But, it's not going to happen. And I sat there and went,
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. And I
this
still
works so much.
I still think that today. I'm going to show you. So I sat there and went, okay, all right. And he goes, I tell you what. If you get a first, I will bring along a bottle of champagne on graduation day and I will be so happy for you. And I went, okay, let's just say that. Oh my gosh, I literally sat about working my butt off. Now, let's just remember and put this in context and just tell everyone exactly how old I am. This was in 1999. I think I graduated, or 2000, I think I graduated. The internet was kind of around, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't what it is today.
No, my gosh, no way. Oh my gosh, doing research. No, I was like flicking through books. I was photocopying chapters out of books and taking them home and highlighting them. And I remember my gorgeous mother. She bought me a laptop for my final year at uni, because every other assignment had either been had to be handwritten, or we had computer rooms at the university that we'd go, and I sound so old, and that you would go and you'd go into the computer room and you'd have to commandeer a computer, and you didn't dare move because otherwise you'd lose the computer. She bought me a computer for my final year at uni. I honestly think like it was one of the first. It was one of the first ones. I think this thing cost like £5,000. That's the equivalent of like $10,000 in and in that time as well.
30 grand. It's like 20 grand right now.
It was a massive investment. I used to carry this thing around like it was the most precious thing in the entire world. But do you know what it meant? Yeah, it meant that I could sit at home and I could do my thesis and I could do all of that. And with all of these papers and highlighters kind of everywhere. Anyway, I flipping aced it. Like I got a first class honours degree at the end of that.
The challenge always works, you know, and especially when you say, I'm going to show you.
Yeah,
that works.
I'm going to do it every single time. I'm going to do it. And bless him, the lecturer who said, Laura, you know, nice plan. He did show up on graduation day with a bottle of champagne, and he said, look, this is the first time that anyone has ever got a first class honours in this particular subject, especially also coming from overseas. And I felt really proud of myself, and I think that was one of the moments in time that I really demonstrated myself at such a young age. Like I was only 20, 21 years old, that if you put in the hard yards, if you don't give up, if you put everything into something, you can succeed. You can do it. And I think that's just brought me through life. And so when I was at uni, I did the business degree. I didn't have aspirations really at that time of running my own business. It was more along the lines of going and working for a large multinational. And then through kind of subsequently meeting some other people, going to some different countries, et cetera, I ended up in the line of having my own business and entrepreneurship.
But I think, like you mentioned, you had seen entrepreneurship, businessmen in your own household. So somewhere in your subconscious mind, it sat, and there was this perception that how well your grandfather was doing and how what a lifestyle he's presenting because he's a businessman.
Yes.
Or was it with what you said? Was it the lifestyle that you saw, or the money? The lifestyle, I would say, was it the lifestyle that you saw, or you wanted to build something of your own?
I think it was more the lifestyle, to be honest. I'm not really, I don't actually know the answer to that question. I'm going to ponder that. I don't really know, because there's no one else in my family that has their own business. Like it's literally, it's just me.
Okay.
And everyone else, has got my sister has got an exceptional career. She works for a FTSE 250 company. She works her butt off. She is an incredible person, but we've just gone down to very different lines. And, I never really kind of overly thought about it, but one of my really close friends, named Simon, he lives in New Zealand. He started doing his own business and his own things when I was over in New Zealand, and he was exceptionally supportive and encouraging of me going and doing my own thing and being my own boss and working for myself. And I really want to credit him as well for being an incredible inspiration and an incredible support. Even to this day, we speak to each other, several times a week probably. And he's just one of my biggest supporters. And he really helped put all of those pieces together and go, no, Laura, you can do this. And
I think you definitely need that support system. Everybody that we've been talking to, like there's one thing that we believe in. Entrepreneurship or business, being a businessman, businesswoman, it's a lonely road. But at the same time, you need that support system. Yes, you're walking the road alone, but you need somebody to tell you, look, you can do it.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
fine. Otherwise, it gets really hard, really depressing, and that is the reason a lot of people leave it in the middle.
Yeah, totally. Look, it comes to a point, especially when you're running your own business, and it's, or even if it's you and you've got a team, most of the time you're making every single decision. Like every single decision you're making generally alone, unless you have some mentors or some coaches and everything kind of around you. But generally, you're the person. Even if they give their advice, you know, even if they give their advice and you take it on board, you're still having to make that decision at the end of the day. But I think it's so important to find your tribe, to have people around you. And there are some fantastic networks available now to plug into, and to find people who will celebrate the successes with you. Like entrepreneurship when it's hard is a lonely road, but let me tell you, when it's going well and it's successful, it can also be a lonely road, because especially if you're hanging around with people who don't have their own businesses, or they are working for someone else, you can't literally walk into a room and go, I just signed a 50 grand or a 60 grand or a 70 grand deal today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I know.
Because they're sat there going, well, that's, half my salary, like half my annual salary, whatever, that you've just made in one business deal. Oh, it's okay. There can be some of those things.
Stop showing off.
Exactly.
It's so, you've hit the nail. I mean, it's not only that in the struggle you're alone, actually in the celebration you're alone as well, unless you have the right tribe. And I've noticed, I think, Arshak, you will agree, even with the right tribe, I think these days people enjoy your misery far more than they enjoy your success.
Maybe. I have to say that I am part of a couple of networks that literally one of the mantras is, when you go into any meeting or greeting with them, it's what are your wins? What are you celebrating? How are you celebrating? What are you doing? And it's you probably, we've heard it before. It's not necessarily a zero-sum game. Just because I win doesn't mean that somebody else loses necessarily.
Absolutely.
The world is abundant. There's more than enough to go around. So I think, why not celebrate someone's wins?
Let's win together. Celebrate together.
100%. I want someone to come and go, I just landed the best deal, and be like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Like, congratulations. Well done. That's brilliant. Let's go and celebrate. And I would certainly recommend, don't stop trying to find your tribe until you find a tribe that is happy to be with you and stand with you in the trenches when you need that support, but also will grab you by the hand and celebrate when you've done something right.
I'm keeping the topic of this, the title of this episode is Find Your Tribe.
Yes, find your tribe.
Find your tribe. How many countries have you been to, Laura?
Okay, well, I've been to a lot of countries, but Australia is the 7th country that I've lived in so far.
Wow. Kudos to you. I mean, we even contemplate we were like, this is our 4th house in 3 years, okay? Don't tell us to move again.
We moved a lot of houses.
Have you?
And now she's like, we are not moving. All right.
Okay,
whatever.
For a year or two.
For 2 years we haven't moved. No.
Oh, okay.
Now we want to.
We moved like 5 houses.
But now I'm inspired. 7 countries.
7 countries.
You've lived in, and you've actually made them home.
But we've been thinking about that.
Yeah,
we've been thinking about that because we love traveling. And we were thinking about moving out of Australia.
I
mean, once the business is set up, things are good. We can move out of Australia and move maybe somewhere closer to the family. So we were thinking about going to Dubai or somewhere.
Oh, cool.
But we were like, so I told her the other day, I was like, look, let's do one thing. Let's move to Dubai for a couple months, see how it goes. Then we move to another country for a couple months.
Sure.
And then whatever you like.
And I was like,
we just stay there.
You don't know until you try. You don't know until you try.
It's scary.
It's like,
That's not
if you don't know, you
scary.
don't know. And the thing
It's
is,
an adventure.
It is an adventure to travel, but to make a home. Tell me, how was the experience then?
Oh my goodness.
Inspire me.
I think so. One of my moves was I would have been in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I'd gone from Germany. So I'd gone from being at uni in Germany, and I went to France. I did a ski season in France. I had the best time. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was the worst paid job that I ever had. I have to tell you this. Okay, it's the worst paid job I ever had, but it was the most fun job I ever had. Okay, I was working for, it was an English company. They looked after families in France who were going on weeks ski trip all together as a family. So they would put them up in these big kind of shared chalets, and the adults would go off and go skiing every day. There was supervised creche experience for the kids all day, and get this, my job title was ski school helper. Right? Ski school helper, best job ever. I know. I had to take the 3 to 6 year olds who'd never skied before down into ski school, organize all their ski school, organize them into all the lessons, and stay with the ones who had not skied before, and basically teach them to ski, assist the French ski school, translate backwards and forwards into French, English, German, French, English, whatever. Basically teach them and assist them how to ski. And then in the afternoons, I'd take the older kids and I'd ski guide for them. And we used to have the most amount of fun.
That was like a dream.
It was so good. It was so good. Okay, get this. We got food and board. We got uniform, which was a ski outfit. We got a season's pass. We got ski hire and everything. We got our trip from the UK down to France and back again. So basically all of our expenses were kind of living expenses were covered. And then we made 50 euros a week. A week.
That was
€50.
That was just for food, you know.
They might as well have just paid the bar. They might as well have just paid my wages. They might have just as well paid the bar. But no, literally, it was. So I think 50 euros is about the equivalent of about 70 Australian dollars per week.
Per week, yeah.
But then
week.
It's like.
But you had fun.
It was the best time. It was the best time.
That's all that matters, you know.
Best time.
You know, you're still recalling that. I'm missing those memories.
That glow on your face when you were telling this story.
I loved it. I loved
it. And then do this. Best time ever.
It was the best time ever. It was the best time ever. So I did have the best time ever, and my plan at that time was to go back to France and do another season. But it was the Northern Hemisphere summer, and I thought, gosh, what am I going to do? It's a long time before coming back skiing again here in France. So I thought, I still want to ski. I still want to continue skiing. So I looked at the map and had a little look around where else you could ski in the world, where it was winter, and came across, there was Australia, New Zealand, and Chile. Yeah. Chile, I didn't speak Spanish. And so I kind of thought, well, we'll park that one. And then I looked at Australia and New Zealand, but it looked like New Zealand had more options to ski. If the weather wasn't so good in the North Island, you could go to the South Island, there was more. Anyway, I settled on New Zealand. So I literally packed a backpack and a pair of skis. I said goodbye to my family and said, I'll be gone for 3 months because then I'm going to come back and do the France thing again. So I'll see you guys later. And off I hopped on the plane down to New Zealand. First time anyone in my family had ever been anywhere near the other side of the world. Hopped off. I landed in Queenstown. And I don't know if you guys have been to Queenstown for anyone who hasn't been to Queenstown, please go to Queenstown. It is beautiful. It's the most beautiful place that you will ever see in your entire life. It's stunningly beautiful, stunningly beautiful. And so I landed there. I think it must have been about 2002, something like that, with my backpack and my pair of skis, with a plan to stay for 3 months and 3 months only. And within it was literally within a couple of months, so within 8 weeks, I had fallen in love with the country. Like, it was stunningly beautiful. It was a very wholesome, and still is in New Zealand, a very wholesome way of life. It's very outdoorsy, which really suited me as well. There's no sitting around kind of, inside the house. Like, you're either out, so you're skiing, you're horse riding, you're hiking, you're forward driving, you're jet boating, you're, fishing. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, it's
we just looked at each other. Okay, I think you've convinced me to go and live in 2 different countries. just that whole experience. experiences.
I think it's our first country you try should be New Zealand.
Go and try New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I really, and the scenery is stunning. And it was also, I'm sure it still is, but it was very, very safe. I felt very safe over there, to the point where, I didn't really lock my front door. If you'd come back from town and you'd walk back by yourself, you would actually take the shortcut, which I wouldn't recommend doing in a whole bunch of different places. But in Queenstown in 2002, it was actually fine. And you'd see someone coming the other way, and you'd actually have a conversation with them, going, "Oh, which bars go good? Where's going off?" And they'd say, "Oh, down here or down there." And you say, "Okay, great." Like it was so wholesome and so beautiful. And anyway, I thought about suddenly that the next chapters came to my mind, and I thought, gosh, what am I going to do? I would love to go back to France and go and still do the French thing. So I explored that for a little bit and went, okay, if I went back and did the France thing, I'm only going to have, by the time I come back, I'm only going to have 2 to 3 months left on a holiday work visa. It's unlikely that I would get picked up again for, to work with such a short amount of time left on a visa. So, okay, that might not be the option. And then I went down to the lake one day, and I always take a lot of inspiration from nature and just calming my mind. And I went down there and I thought, do you know what? What is the point in going back to France to come back to New Zealand again? Like, that just doesn't seem to work. So I went, do you know what? I'm just gonna keep moving forward. I'm just gonna keep going.
You were destined to have a business here, to be settled in Australia.
To this side of the world.
To this side of the world.
100%.
I think listening to what you've been through all this life, it was an exciting journey for you. But I think talking to so many people, we've understood one thing, that traveling really opens your mind. It's one of the treasures that a human should give themselves rather than hogging onto things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like builds up your character.
Absolutely.
And we were talking to the other guests as well. Like, look, with traveling, it builds up your character.
Self-development.
It gets you back down to the earth.
Yep.
Puts you back, and they're like, it tells you that, look, the world is big. And there are so many different people, communities out there, so many different things that you need to see.
Yes.
Where you are right now, it's like an ant.
Yes.
It's like this one.
Yeah.
You need to see out there.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And it makes you, especially if you go by yourself, or even if you go with one other person, it builds resilience, and particularly in business and in life, but particularly the journey of entrepreneurship, you have to be resilient. It builds that solution orientated mindset. Like, how do I get from A to B? How do I communicate with this person when we don't speak the same languages?
Yes.
Like, how can I make this work? And you're right. I think it also opens you up to the abundance of the world.
Yes.
And I know for me, it taught me other ways. I think when I went through university, it was all very much about go and get your university degree, go and work for a big company, go and follow this path, like go and work your way up the ladder and get into the C-suite and go and get married and have some children and then raise them and do that. Like, it was very normal, and until I really went and started doing a whole bunch of these travels and met people from different walks of life and who had different journeys, and all of that was an inspiration to kind of go, do you know what, I think I can do my own thing.
I think listening to everything, we are going to end this on your notes of you want to be a businessman or a woman or an entrepreneur. Resilience, abundance, and traveling is your key to your successful life. What do you think, Arshak?
110%. What do you think? What are you going to tell everybody before ending this up? Like, look, this is what I think.
Gist
of everything. This is what I feel like you should be doing if you're thinking about traveling or you're thinking about doing something of your own.
Yeah, I think you just need to do it. Don't overthink it. go and do it. You can always change your mind again. You can always go somewhere else or do something different or try a different strategy if that's in business or go to a different country. But until you get up out of your chair and go and take some action,
you just do it.
Yeah, just go and do it. Yeah. Just go and do it, and then you'll figure it out from there.
Because if you don't do it, you don't know.
100%. You've got no idea.
I mean, a lot of time people are scared to start one thing, and they're scared that what if I fail? What if I don't like it? What if I don't want to do it after that?
It's okay. That's Failures are good.
I mean, but if you don't start it, you won't know.
Absolutely.
That's fine. You started, you didn't like it didn't work. That's fine.
But we can't plan everything off a notebook and from a piece of paper. Like, you just figure things out as you go along. But unless you take those first steps, you don't have to know how the whole thing. In fact, it's actually better if you don't know how the whole thing pans out, because then your mind just gets opened up to a whole bunch of different possibilities and opportunities. Just know what the next step is. And often the next step is just getting up out of the chair and going and taking some action.
That's cool.
Beautiful.
100%.
Just with this, thank you, Laura. But with this, just take the first step.
Take the first step. Definitely take the first step. Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Yes.
I didn't want to stop.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We loved your journey. Loved what you have built for yourself. And
wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time with someone amazing with us again.
Story, 100%. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.